Today is the 16th of May 2024 and I'm going to go through my trading plan for today, and as always before we start, let's just see what could move the market news wise. We've had one big news event at 8:30, building permits, and we also had jobless claims. It did create a negative reaction. We also have news coming in shortly, 9:15. So keep an eye on that, but we do have a lot of Fed speaking today, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11:30 and 10 to 3. So just be a bit wary of it in the market during those times. Okay, so on my screen is the ES, which is the S&P 500 E-mini futures. We're currently looking at the 1 hour time frame. So we've got some levels. Hard to find rejections when we're breaking all-time highs. If we just go back to an overall view of the last month, you can see that was the previous all-time high and we broke through that yesterday. We did have a bit of a area of supply zone. There wasn't much volume up there, but I marked it off anyway, and that's an area we can watch today. So I will be watching for a bounce around the 53.27 area. However, we do have big move up last few days and we're pretty far from the 50 moving average. Let's look on the daily. Pretty extended from everything on the daily as well. So a pullback is due, but whether it happened today I don't know. Increase in volume on this last end, which could start to signify the starting of end in volume. So we've got increase in volume, but nothing. It's not above the average. So the average is that white line. And we did have a wide range day yesterday, and the candle was not much larger than the previous day, which was a smaller candle, which wasn't much larger than the previous few days, averaging around, which all were a bit smaller as well. So potentially showing a little bit of, it was looking strong, but whether we're going to pull back today and push up, or whether we're just going to continue to trend up today, I don't know. But that's what our hourly levels will help with. So just out of full disclosure, I'm currently short. I've been short since about 3 AM when the market's open here in the UK, or the European market open. I sort of come below the VWAP and pull back in, so I went short at the VWAP, so I'm kind of short. And I'm using my Apex account for that. And they've got a decent deal on right now. I think it's up to 90% off. And there's a link below to get in a grabbing account. It's worth grabbing a couple when they've got these decent discounts. So let's look at the levels right now. So we've got this potential double top. We came into that in the post market yesterday. We kind of broke out, made all-time highs, put in new highs, and then we came back and the data candle we had today tested it again. So that's a topping tail, a sign of weakness, a hammer candle, or inverted tail candle, should I say. I'm not sure what that level is. I've got yesterday's high. Let's just have a zoom out. 53.37, so that might have been left over, I'm not quite sure. Okay, no, I must have put that in earlier when I was just looking at the charts, so let's just go in a bit deeper. I'm getting rid of that, I don't really like that. Okay, that's better. So what I'm looking for today is potentially two levels up. There's two plays up here. We can look for a rejection, bring down, may not even get to that high, maybe putting in a lower high, or I'm looking for a break and retest, but we need a clear 53.42.75, which is the new all-time high. And I don't really want to just see a candle come up, come back down in the same candle, whether it's a 2 or 5. I really want to see it push up by a few candles. So I want to see it push up by a few candles, come back down and leave a bit of a gap, and then go in for the breakout. The last few days I've been trying to trade these breakouts with candle going up, coming back down and getting in, and it just continues down. But I really want to go back to my original plan of waiting for an actual I like to see a bit of an air gap there before going long, so I'm pulling back into that area. So that's what I'll be waiting for. 53.42.75, break and retest long, or potentially a rejection up in this area. And we'll watch the market for weakness. I'll be using order flow to determine whether we've got weakness up there. So I'll be looking up for absorption, There's lots of big buyers and we're coming up into that area, and then lack of buy orders as it's pushing up with no follow through, and then I'll be looking for a reversal. So I'm currently short there anyway, and I really want to keep it to at least we get to this area, which is the anchored VWAP from yesterday, but also really targeting this 5300 for a bounce, and that'll be if I'm still in this short, I want to get out around there as well. So 53 fell, 5300 is a psychological number. It's a good bounce here. We've got the 50 moving average coming up into that area as well, which is this red line, and we got the lows of yesterday, which is probably a little bit below that, but this is the area I want to focus on, 5300. But a better area for a bounce. We all like a bit of confidence. We've also got some high volume and a bit of a volume shelf here. So this is our volume profile and this red line. So if we come back down into this region here, I do quite like a bounce. I was focusing on this area, so it's kind of an area of confluence, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, and we've got natural resistance or support below, I meant, with this point of control running straight through. So this could act as our stop, and our entry could be anywhere within this zone. So keep an eye on that for a bounce, and that area is 52.60 to 52. So 52.50, I meant to 52.60, that area. I've got a smaller area, we could extend that down a bit, but I'll keep it small because I just want to keep that for the tops. That's my ideal bounce, but if we can pull right back down. One thing to note also, we've got this purple line, which is the 200 moving average, and we're coming into that area as well, and that can act as also natural support. So basically that's it, that's the only levels, keeping it really simple today. I think I've already put my levels on my TradeViz. So just confirm 53, 42, 75, 50, so that's a break and retest long. That's also going to be a potentially a rejection. I've not put that down. 5300 bounce, 52.60 to 52.70, 52.60. So this area we just talked about for a bounce as well, and then 53.27. Oh, that's a higher risk bounce. What does that be? That will be that area here. Okay, yes. So we've got this higher risk bounce as well, and that was coming off of previous all-time highs. So this zone here. So we can watch that area. Like I said, it's high risk. We're going against the hourly, well, the 5-minute trend. We're going against the lower time frames, but you could take it as part of a pullback and continuation. I'll keep an eye on the market around those. If it gets down to 53.20, 53.30 area. We've also got the 20 moving average there as well. So there's a few reasons why it might be good. We also have a little bit of confidence as well. You can see tops of candles, bottoms of candles, just in that area as well. So the bodies of candles. So that's at 53.26. So just keep an eye on that area for a potential high risk bounce. Okay, that's ES. Next up is SPY. So other than the same area, break and retest of the pre-market high, 55.30.90. It's hard to want to go long. You've got the higher risk pre-market low bounce, what we just talked about. And I think the only place I can see will be 525.78. But I really prefer, that's only coming off of low volume pivot. There's no volume here. And it kind of hesitated a few times at the all-time highs, previous all-time highs that is. I want it to come back down to at least 522.60 to consider a bounce, and maybe down into this area here, which is 518.42. And they're the areas I'll consider a bounce. Potentially, we can watch that entire area, 520.55 as well. And what I'm looking at is areas of confluence. So bottoms of candles there, tops of candles there, tops of candles, bottoms, and then obviously right through the middle. And a bit of volume as well. So that's kind of why I like 520.55 for a bounce, and that will come back and then back to where the areas we were waiting for. We never did, in fact yesterday was a difficult day. Let's just zoom in. We didn't get any real pullbacks yesterday. If you caught I'm going to go back to the ES because there's a strategy I'm working on and I quite like, which I didn't take. I'm going to the 5 minute. So whenever we get a data candle, I've not done today's, which I will do in a second, I'll do that in a sec. I like to put the 50% fibs line on and the anchored VWAP, and you can see quite clearly yesterday we had the PPI came in, we came down into there, didn't quite get to the 50%, but we trailed this anchored VWAP, and then we finally broke through, and look at that, bounced straight off the 50%, and we didn't look back. That was the only pullback we had yesterday, really. If you look, go right through, wasn't really, you may be there, but wasn't really any decent pullbacks. If you're pulling back, you really want to pull it back to an area of, you know, previous highs. So I was waiting for it to come back down into this 5304, 5300 area, but it never did. And I had a losing day yesterday. I got chopped around, even though I missed that play there. I went short. I was trying to go short up here as well, and I just stopped out on all the levels I was watching. So it was a tough day, and you know, by the time I eventually went long, it was a bit late really at the end of the day. So today's data candle, let's just do the same. I always use the 5 minute chart. So let's plonk. That's the anchored VWAP. Wrong one. Put it on this candle. Anchored VWAP, which is still below. And now we're going to do the fibs retracement. So from bottom to top. And look at that. Today's pre-market high happens to be the top of that candle, and yesterday's, what's that level there? That's today's high. So we got a potential area. I've not really back tested it when we have a data candle and it goes short, but we've got a potential area up here, 50, 53, 38, 50. This area here for a rejection potentially, but we're looking pretty weak at the moment. Let's get rid of yesterday's anchor VWAP. I'll keep the fibs here. I like to keep a couple of days worth of fibs in for the data candles, because even though it was in play yesterday, look how it rejected the top as well. So one of my two strategies on the data candle are to, if we break up, come back down in and then find a short, back down, or if we're in, this is a bit I'm still working on, if we're hovering between in the top half, definitely get a short off of the fibs 100% level, and then look for a long off the 50% area. And you can see that would have worked out perfectly yesterday. I'm still back testing positions. For example, if we have a data candle and we pull back more than 50% and then come back in, I need to work out what the probability of taking short there. I still think it's pretty high, but it would be a 100% retracement at that point. But if we're in a 50% retracement or in the top half, then it's more likely. And look at that, if we were to take the break out, the break and retest yesterday, which I didn't take as well, which I was watching for. We had the break, almost a retest, that's why I missed it. It didn't come back down. I was waiting for it to come back down to 5300, and so that's 3 plays yesterday which I missed, and I think that's what set me up for revenge trading and FOMO for the rest of the day. Okay, so now let's look at SPY again. I think we've done SPY. Let's go back into the hourly. So I've got a quarter of an hour before we go. So this is the areas to watch on SPY. A bounce at yesterday's low, previous all-time highs, but I prefer a bounce down at 522.60. So that's the area I'm really watching. I've got some intermediate bounces or targets if we're short. There is another short I do quite like, even though I said I'm short ES. I'll keep it on SPY for now. But we've broken yesterday's low and the pre-market low. If we come back in and retest it, then I quite like a short down, and we've got hardly any volume down here, and we haven't got anywhere to bounce until we get down to at least that level. That's why I put these, or that level, but preferably that level. So that's why I put these levels in. So I am actively looking to add to my short, which is doing really well right now. Let's look at ES for the break below as well. I'm going to add that into my plan. Okay, so pre-market low, yesterday's high is a bit higher. So if we pull back into yesterday's high, I can look to add to my short there. My out is going to be if it breaks over all-time highs. and then I'm looking for a bit of a pullback into this area, pre-market low, and that'll be 53.27. That's the bounce area we talked about. So if we break down below it, we've taken out all the previous all-time, come back into that area, I'll be looking to go short as well. So hopefully that will help both directions. And with my outs, maybe yesterday's low, 50 moving average, 5300 is an out area, and I'll hopefully hold a run until we get back down to these areas here. NQ, new all-time high, let's mark that in, just a rough area so we know. The only place I like the pullback, in fact, even where we are right now, it's too high risk, but I like the pullback into 18613. You can see tops of all these pivots, a little bit of volume coming in as well. So that's a higher risk bounce because it's quite close, and it hasn't really been tested yesterday as well. We kind of went through that area. And if we come back down into this region again, I quite like the 18300 area for a bounce. Okay, let's look at, get rid of that. This is QQQs. Okay, so this is a much better bounce area off the all-time high, or previous all-time high. So 449.40 for a bounce. Maybe you can keep an eye on yesterday's low, but this is a much better area than NASDAQ. I quite like the bounce off of these levels here. And we kind of held it there and then pushed through. We're yet to retest. So 446.66 for a bounce. That's my two bounce areas. And obviously we've got this area down here as well, 442 basically for a bounce. No rejections unless we break down through pre-market low, break and retest short. Same as the others, but that's higher risk. It's against the trend, but we are very extended. Next up is SPX. Against the weekly, ignore that. I don't know why in the hourly it moves the weekly trend line. This is really annoying because it's actually below the averages. In fact, there is another trend line we can put in as well. I didn't even consider this until I saw somebody else use this last night, which is from that level there all the way up to that level there. Let's get rid of magnet, it's really annoying. And you can do this on SPY and Qs as well. You can't do it on the ES because the data don't go back this far. Let's put that up there as well, so that's, and you see where that is. Okay, so it gives us another perspective, and SPY and Q is exactly the same. We've got another potential bounce, and this is a trend line that goes back not quite 24 years, it goes back to 2007, so the last pivot we had there. And potentially, if someone else is watching it, then I'm sure institutions are watching it as well, so we can watch that area 5400 down to 54.38. Earlier I said I didn't have any ideas for a rejection. Well, I did, but I didn't really want to talk about it. But it's that. This is basically that trend line, and we'll see what happens. So maybe just draw it in and keep an eye on it for future reference. I'm not going to dwell on it because it's high risk trying to find a rejection at a place we don't really know it's going to reject. Here it went straight through, came back round, but it's a zone. If we're looking for a zone, a 24-year-old zone, 24-year zone to trade a rejection. You've got this wide zone we can watch, and we may see in the future, we may look back at this in a year's time and say, we were watching this area and look what happened to the stock, it came down. But something to be wary of. So two areas on SPX we're watching is 5,000, look at that, yesterday we broke it, or not yesterday, a few days, pull back into that area on the weekly. Let's go back to daily. On the daily, so we're watching for bounce down if we do reject, and then more close to where we are back into the hourly. Here we go, that's better. And we're looking at 5200, where's that? That's around here for a bounce. Same areas we just talked about on the other stocks where we've got the consolidation and the double top. So watching 5200 down to 5240 for a bounce. And then I don't really like any rejections, but if I had to pick one, it'll be 5350. That area there, which is the trend line. Crude oil. Look at that. I know what you're looking at. Beautiful double bottom. Breakout, inverse head and shoulders. So left shoulder, head. So right now, we can keep an eye on this. I took a great trade yesterday on this. I bought it there. In fact, I bought it once there and it stopped me and got back in again immediately afterwards. And I trailed it all the way out. I think I got out. I was out on the VWAP actually, but look how far it went. So my out was around about there. It was a bit annoying, only because we had an area of confluence, or you know, we had pivots and stuff, and I had a previous level I was watching. And I don't trade oil often, so it's more of a make sure. I just wanted to get more trust in my levels, and I was absolutely spot on yesterday on that. We talked about this zone. I said if it comes back down into this area, this zone. I basically went long the first time at that area, and it did actually bounce, but it kind of took me out. So I went long again on the next pullback and then trend break. So I was watching the 2 minute for the trend break, and it was a great long. I had a bit of FOMO. I think that's probably why I had a losing day yesterday, because I did well then, and I spent the rest of the day just watching it sail up, and it's looking strong right now. But look at it. We got this. Oh, ignore that. We got this shoulder, this head. Just bring that in a bit. If we can pull back down into this area, yesterday's high, we can look for longs. So I'm going to be putting in an alert down there. That's my alert. It's a quick tip on TradingView. I know you can put alerts in by moving the mouse to the side, but you hold down Control and Alt. You can put the alert anywhere you want on the screen and just click for the alert. So Control and Alt, so that's the two keys either side of the Windows button. Okay, so break and retest of this head and shoulders, and then if we can get over this level as well, it's quite an important area, so I've got an alert from yesterday there, and maybe a break and retest over that. So two areas, or if you're long, if we do pull back into this area, that's a potential add point as well. We've got a target there. Gold, inverse head and shoulders. If you zoom out on the hourly, neckline is a little bit wonky, but it's pulling back into the neckline area. So this is potentially a long right now. Pre-market low, 50 moving average, pull back into a pivot, area of confluence. Would be nicer if the point of control was up there as well, this orange line, but it's not. Break a trend, maybe look for a long. If you want a higher probability, wait for the break and retest of the pre-market high, breakout, pull back and long. But it looks like we changed the trend. You can see all the volume. This is the neckline area here actually. You see the point of control, lots of volume in this area as well. So we can watch that to continue the trend. If it breaks down, then we can watch core areas confluence. Same levels yesterday, 23.43 bounce, 23.22. Probably more likely this area here. 23.14 bounce, and then you've got these bottoms of this head, of this end shoulders. RTY. Market opens in 6 minutes, so I'll be quick. RTY looking strong. Didn't quite put in, it's not all-time highs, is it? No, nowhere near. So quite far away. It's hard. I find this one hard to trade. Watch for a bounce down here at 2100. Tops of these two pivots, all the way down to 2080, 2090. You could also watch where the point of control is. This pivot here as well, and that's around 2070. Rejection wise, see, there's no real clean areas of confluence apart from kind of where we went yesterday. Rejected that area kind of near to right. In fact, just put the line back where it was. How far? Wasn't far off on that level. When was that? Yesterday's. That's the CPI came back down. So that's an area we can watch. 2130 for a. No, I don't even like that for rejection. Just no volume up there. reducing the volume. So break and retest long of pre-market high, and then we've got hardly any volume above, so we can target up here at 2166, and that'll be all-time highs, I believe. Yeah. And then rejection 2166 as well. YM. Got this lovely double top up here, so let's mark that in. 4324, 4400, that's probably a nicer number. You know, these are only rough areas, not much volume going up. If we can pull back down into this 39,800 area, I quite like the bounce there. Area confluence, lots of touches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this could be our 10th touch. If we come back down to there, watch for the long. We're in an uptrend. As you can see, we've been in an uptrend for some time. So we do have a bit of a pullback into that area, so I quite like that. And then if we get up into the all-time highs, we can watch for a reject. But there's not much volume. I don't like rejecting all-time highs because it normally pushes through. Okay, so that's it really. Bitcoin. Oh, you look at that. So yesterday we talked about this. We said if we can break out, I think we did something like that. And then we were currently trading in the upper half. I do like splitting channels down the middle and looking to see where, you know, at the moment it was pretty neutral, and then it kind of hovered, and now we've broken out. And look at that, broke out, retest, long. So that's retest. Again, we talked about that. These red lines are areas where I previously sold my Bitcoin. So I sold coming back down is that one as a panic sell really. And then I sold coming up into here, and I sold coming up into there. And the reason I sold is you can't see it on here, but we had lots of volume coming in, and that usually indicates a end of a trend. But I really wanted to get back down to the 50. Didn't have much Bitcoin, but back down to 50,000. This area here to add back in again. We'll see. Could potentially say there's an inverse head and shoulders here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Neckline will be this area of confluence, which is exactly where we are now. So it'll be interesting to see whether we can continue to move up or whether we do reject. Back to ES, just to see where we are, see if anything changed over the last 20 minutes. Not really. We've kind of pulled down into the 20 moving average, put in a pre-market low, and we've pushed up a little bit. I think I had one of my targets down here, so hopefully that took me out. That's it really. So just to recap the levels, break and retest of all-time highs at 53.42, and then we really want to catch the bounce, a high probability bounce down in this region, 52.60 to 52.50, and we know those areas we talked about, 52.50 is coming up quite a lot. Okay, next up will be the live order flow, which is this screen, which I use quite a lot to determine my rejections. So keep an eye on that, and that'll be the next stream once I've closed this one. Okay, thank you for watching.